Hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about firewalls and how they work for you and your network. If we can picture the internet, it would probably be a nasty looking place with danger in every corner. But these days, it's nearly impossible to be productive without connecting to the internet. The average user browsing the web may not realize what dangers may be lurking on this vast network. They may unknowingly click a link or on a shady email or web page. They may not know the difference between verified web pages and their phony counterparts. But for those in charge of safeguarding corporate information or ensuring customers' privacy, they want to make sure the average employee doesn't try to do something that harms the company. This is where firewalls come into play. You can protect your whole network with a single firewall, but for extra security, it's recommended that each host on the network can and should implement their own firewall. Before we get into the different types of firewalls, I'm going to cover two of the settings that firewall policies can be configured to. The first of the two is to blacklist packets. This approach allows all traffic into the network except those that are explicitly listed. This approach is a bit more challenging for administrators, however, because they have to keep every known vulnerability or exploit covered. The second is the whitelist approach. This method is more practical in that it only allows traffic that is known to be trusted, which is easy for administrators to manage. Now, what exactly are firewalls? Well, firewalls can be either software or hardware that's positioned between your computer/network and the open internet. For it to be effective, all traffic coming in and out of the network must go through the firewall. This then helps to filter out or block all unauthorized traffic. Most importantly of all, the firewall must be configured properly. Now let's take a more in-depth look into how firewalls work. Firewalls act as packet filters, which means they inspect each packet individually. Some of the things that a firewall checks are the IP source and destination addresses, protocol type, source and destination ports, and more. The firewall knows what to look for with the help of policies set by the organization. They are then administered throughout the network. More specific rules can be implemented on each router with access control lists. Of course, there are a few disadvantages of a basic packet filtering system. One of them is that it can be easily tricked by spoofing certain aspects of the packet, such as the IP addresses or the TCP ACK bits. Once a packet like this shows up to the firewall from the internet, the firewall will believe it's a trusted packet because the packet meets the criteria of the policy that was put in place. This leads me to another firewall configuration featuring stateful packet filters. This approach can map active connections in the table and can deny messages with a spoofed TCP ACK bit. It does so by first referring to the access control list, then seeing if it needs to be checked the active connection table, where it will make its final determination whether or not a packet can be let through. An improvement from basic filters, but still has a problem in its inability to look inside a packet beyond the transport layer headers. It cannot tell what application this packet is coming from. It can only tell the transport protocol being used by the packet and any other headers from the layers under that. To be able to let traffic from specific applications to come and go through the network, application gateways must be used. An application gateway is able to look at an application header, which it then uses to make certain connections or even drop packets if it doesn't meet the policy that was put in place. If it decides that a packet is legitimate, the gateway is able to open a connection through the firewall because the firewall knows that the gateway is located within the trusted network and has verified the packet already. There are some disadvantages to application gateways to make note of. For example, a gateway is needed for each application that is needed for the organization. For example, HTTP, Telnet, and email. Performance is also affected because of all the connections must first go through this server before reaching its destination. In some cases, where costs either in operation or design become a big factor, it can be useful to leave a portion of the network outside a firewall in a portion called the demilitarized zone. This design allows users to go through their routine with a little resistance from the firewall. Safeguards still need to be implemented to prevent unauthorized access through any servers that are out in the DMZ. Another approach for designing your network security is to add intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems. These systems, coupled with a firewall, can provide additional security thanks to deep packet inspection, a technology that can scan the deep layers of any data packet and pick up on traces or signatures of malware. Of course, no matter how much you protect your network from cyber attacks, I should mention that firewalls do very little if an agent has already penetrated the network by means of bypassing physical security. Social engineering can be a huge problem for a security team as well, especially if the regular employee is not educated at least to some degree. But bringing it back around, firewalls for home or individual use is a great security practice and definitely recommended. But for large companies and corporations, it could mean life or death, because as we've seen in recent history with all the data breaches, it is imperative to have good security policies in place.